my path to the bench started with my parents. My parents instilled in my brother and I the mindset that we could do anything. They taught us that from very young, and they lived it out through an example. My parents were married at 17 years old, had me at 19, and they first lived in a trailer behind my grandparents' trailer in South Louisiana. They moved to Georgia when I was 3 because my father's family's from Georgia, and we've lived here ever since. But throughout my life, my dad worked 2 and 3 jobs, and he did that up until about the age of 55. And then my mother went back to school and ended up graduating from college a year before I graduated high school. And through that entire time, she held down a job. So my brother and I got to see the benefit that comes from hard work and dedication. And through that, my parents always told us, if you have a dream, you can go and get it if you just choose to work hard for it. And so my brother and I tell each other all the time that we have very little excuses to be lazy because of the example that was laid in front of us. And so that's where the drive to know that I could do things in my life came from, that I could accomplish things if I was at least willing to put in the work and the effort to achieve them. In college, I took a business law class because I was really just going into business. I was going to come out and be an entrepreneur. That was my dream at the moment, to be an entrepreneur and go do big things there. And I had a law class that the professor just took an interest and said, listen, you really kind of have a knack for this. And the reason she said that is I sat in the front row of every class in college, always the front row. I learned that my friends sat in the back and they had to study more. If I sat in the front and went to class, I did much better. So I sat in the front row and I just paid attention. Well, I made really good on her first test. Well, she called me in her office and she goes, did you cheat? And I was like, Professor, I sit on the front row. Like, you know I didn't. And she was being a little facetious in the question because she knew that I just really was interested, and I took a few notes. I just really paid attention. I have thoroughly enjoyed the law, and first ran for office in the state legislature for State House. It's the first seat that I ever ran for, first political office I ever ran for. I joke because I tell people I don't even think my parents voted until I ran for office for the first time. So I came from no background in it other than the passion to give back to my community and the desire to improve things around me. And so ended up going into the legislature and enjoyed my time there. We had a judge retire while I was in the legislature, and a seat came open and I put in for that seat. And Governor Deal, still huge hero in my heart, found to trust me with this position. And I have been blessed ever since to serve as Superior Court Judge for my circuit, and it is truly one of the biggest joys of my life. The absolute best part of my job is helping others. One of the things that I get to do as Superior Court Judge is run an accountability court, and I tell people this all the time. As a judge, I can show everybody compassion. Now, the law doesn't dictate that I can show everybody mercy because sometimes the law doesn't allow for that. But even when the law doesn't allow for mercy, the law always allows me to show people compassion and how I deal with them. And one of the biggest joys of my job is getting to do our accountability court and watch people change their life. Just this morning, which is kind of cool, I received an email from a young lady who's in our program, and she had a baby today. That baby was born clean. That mom is clean. And she has been in a lifetime of addiction. And because of our accountability court, because of her desire to change her past, she's been to prison before, she's been in jail numerous times, but because of her desire to change her path and to follow our lead and trust us in our program, her baby was born this morning clean, which is so cool that I get to do this interview today and have that question. And her mom is clean. This baby, this child has a chance, and this mom has a chance. And they both have a chance because of the opportunities that have been afforded to me as a judge to be able to have this accountability court. As Superior Court judges, if you're in front of us, typically it's not a good day for you. We hear very hard criminal cases, we hear very hard civil cases. So to have these accountability courts and be able to pour into these individuals is awesome. So there are 3 things that I would like to accomplish. 1, whenever I choose to retire or leave, I hope that people say, 1, I was a man who chased his faith. 2, that I was a dedicated and faithful husband. And 3, that I was a loving and present father. If I do those 3 things right, then people will be able to say I was a good judge, because if I'm good at these 3 things that I just mentioned, everything else in my life will fall where it needs to fall. And so for me, the greatest desire for me and what I want to accomplish as a leader in my community, as a leader in the judicial system, I want to leave a legacy that I was a person who chased this faith, that I was faithful and committed to my wife, and that I was a good, present father. And again, if I do those things, I'm leading by example, and I'm leading by example in a way that other people can feel comfortable following me. And so that would be my desire. As a leader, those are the 3 things I'd wish to accomplish. One thing that most people don't know is that while I was in law school, everybody told me I had to go get a law job. In other words, they said, you got to get a clerkship, you got to go work for one of the big law firms. And I just did not believe that that was what was going to dictate my path. I was going to dictate my path by my work ethic. And I had a passion to go and guide the Ocoee River. And so after my first year of law school, when everyone else was going to do the law jobs, I ended up going to the Ocoee River, sight unseen, went to an outfitter, started the guiding training, and I became a river guide on the Ocoee River. I ended up guiding the Ocoee River for almost 2 years. For about a year, I slept in the rafters of a barn with just my sleeping bag. My wife now was my girlfriend then, and she would not stay up there because there were mouse traps around my plywood board in the rafters of this barn, and all I was sleeping on was a sleeping bag. And I did that through most of the rafting season. And I will tell you, it was one of the best times of my life. And I remember purposely sitting on the back of this raft and just looking up back and forth going, man, don't forget how blessed you are to have this time right here. And so for me, when I talk to young people and I'm giving them advice, do not be afraid to chase a passion because you think it's going to be an obstacle later on. If it's a passion of yours, go for it. And then the next passion, go for it. I knew that I could do what I wanted to do, but I also knew that I didn't have to take the traditional path to get there. And so most people don't realize in law school I was a river guide for 2 years and lived in the rafters of a barn.